Thank you very much, Dr. Reddy, and it's my pleasure to welcome Dr. Satish Agnihotri. Dr. Agnihotri is a Secretary of Administration in the Cabinet Secretariat. He has had extensive experience in various departments of the Government of India, including Director General in the Ministry of Defence, Additional Secretary, Ministry of Agriculture, and various positions in the State Government of Orissa. Thank you very much, Dr. Agnihotri.
Thank you very much for inviting me here. I had this lurking fear that once I agreed to come here and make a presentation, it would be expected of me as Secretary Coordination in the Cabinet Secretariat to now push whatever we are discussing here. It reminds me of my presentation before the Suresh Prabhu Committee, high-powered committee on energy. I made the presentation in my personal capacity on some of the solutions. And after everything was heard, they said, "Acha, ye batao, tum Cabinet Secretariat mein ho, why is this not getting implemented?" Okay, let me agree to one point that we do have an opportunity today where the malnutrition is not just lamented about, but there is a very concrete emphasis on tell us how to reduce it rapidly. And if we fail to give solutions, then we don't have political executive to blame, but I think we'll have ourselves to blame. I'm taking a slightly different position from what Dr. Reddy had said. I am slightly scared of the words comprehensive and integrated and holistic, because then everybody's responsibility becomes nobody's responsibility. So I'll focus very, very narrowly on the foundation of the entire edifice. I'm not bothered about the superstructure, how great it looks. This foundation means children in the 0 to 3 age group, period. You may accuse me of not being interested in 3 to 6 age group. I'll take that, I'll plead guilty. Second thing is, in Hindi they say, in yoga, there's one saying ki ek sadhe sab sadhe, sab sadhe sab jaye. So if you achieve one thing well, then you learn how to achieve other things well. If you try to achieve everything simultaneously, you may end up achieving nothing. So I will have this caveat that yes, food production is important, good governance is important, so psychosocial needs of X, Y, and Z are important, yes. But please don't let that perfection stand in the way of the moderately and severely malnourished child below the age of 3. The amount of calories that this child requires are present even in the poorest of the household. Okay. I'm skipping a presentation of mine on purpose because I think it's a better idea to learn what is being talked about here. And in terms of coordination, let me assure you, I'm right from this meeting plunging into a meeting called by Secretary W and CD, not on what is to be done, but on how it is to be done. So I'll have some lessons. We here, those who have done some integral calculus in the college know that there's something called integration and there's something called differentiation. We have this typical dilemma in public policy also, whether you do a differentiated, specific, focused intervention or you do integrated, holistic intervention. But then there's also a trick in integral calculus which says differentiation under the integral sign. And those who remember this nightmarish experience, I would urge them to remember this, just this qualitative approach. So let me do some daydreaming on behalf of the children below the age of 3. That daydreaming says that no child gets malnourished in the first place in the 7 to 36 month age group. Now why this? So there is impressive data, large scale data which shows that it's only from 7th month onwards that the nutrition level starts dipping, and it dips, and then there is some recovery towards 24 months or 30 months. For convenience's sake, I take it as 7 to 36 months. What does this dream mean? This dream means that there is adequate food, that this food does not go to the hookworm but goes to the child. Because I am fond of saying this often, that integrated child development scheme would become an integrated hookworm development scheme if we don't deworm the child every 6 months. And IFPRI hookworm chapter will be holding a seminar in a similar hall where hookworms will be very happy, saying that Government of India has increased our budget by such and such amount. So there is food which goes to the child and not to the hookworms. I also dream that therefore that area is open defecation free and there is no infection load on the child. For this to happen, okay, let's assume that this dream has come true. What I require as a condition precedent for this perhaps is that all children are exclusively breastfed in the first 6 months. Let's take a look at the exclusive breastfeeding map in the country and find out which state is doing, which state stands where. And we'll realize that the gap that is to be brought about. If this is fine, let's assume that by some magic wand, we also ensure that exclusive breastfeeding has happened. Then the next dream would be that there is no child who is born LBW. Now this fond dream also, you need to go back and check the data. I think DLHS data is available, so we will be able to do some mapping as to which are the regions where the LBW incidence is larger and which regions it is lesser. And if we have done this, let's assume that this has happened, it will also require that there is no mother at risk. There is no mother at risk. She gets her ANC coverage, she gets her tetanus toxoid, and of course, yes, this child gets all his immunization in the first year. And that no mother being at risk probably requires that no adolescent girl child is low BMI and that her age at first pregnancy, I don't use the term age at marriage because age at first pregnancy is a more effective indicator. Age at first pregnancy is not so low. And if that is to be achieved, presto, we come back to this whole nutrition scenario where right from the childhood, the boy and the girl are fed adequately without infection load, so the cycle completes. But if I have to concentrate on the 0 to 3 age group, I will expect these other desirables to happen, but I will not want them to happen through the group which is tasked with the good nourishment of the 0 to 3 children. The second debate where I will also plead guilty is that people often say, oh, but you are concentrating only on underweight. What about stunting? What about micronutrient deprivation? No disputes. Yes, I do recognize this micronutrient deprivation. But a first task would be to get this child out of severe and moderate malnourishment trap. Does it mean that I'll be happy if all children in India are either mildly malnourished or well-nourished? To begin with, yes. If I achieve this, then what I am essentially achieving is a confidence where people will be able to feel that malnourishment can be tackled quickly, and it is doable. Why I am talking of this focused, differentiated approach? You go to the field, talk to the Anganwadi worker. If you task her with looking after all 80 odd children and say that unless you do this, unless everybody becomes in the normal grade, what you have done is useless. She gives up even before she begins. But if you tell her that your first task is get these children who are severely and moderately malnourished, get them out of this trap. It's my personal experience. Backward districts of Orissa, not very educated, Anganwadi workers, tribals, very confidently tell me that, oh, they don't use the terms moderately and severely malnourished. They use the terms like 3 number, 4 number ka bachcha. So they say 3 number, 4 number bachcha. I have only 1, and 2 number ka bachcha there are about 4 or 5. What will I get if I get all of them into 1 number or normal? That means mildly or well-nourished status. You suddenly start finding they're not coming up with the excuse that this is not there or that is not there or that is not there. But that excuse comes up when you tell them that you have to look after all 98 children in one go. So there is a merit for a calibrated, differentiated approach, not losing sight. I mean, I'm appearing to oppose Dr. Reddy, but we are saying exactly the same thing. But I'm saying do it in a calibrated manner and prioritize. So if we do that, then I think if all these dreams are coming true, then all of us can go home and no need for this seminar. But the hunger index is making sure that we will not go home in a hurry. This kind of thing will go on. And that brings me only to the last, you can call it obduracy, you can call it optimism, which was experienced by King Bruce, and I think many of you must be knowing this poem, King Bruce and the Spider. Short point was that this was this king who was banished, and then he tried to get his kingdom back and was getting defeated every time and was very despondent and was sitting in this cave and saw this spider who was trying to climb up, and every time it keeps moving up the thread, it falls, it again slips down. And this king is watching it with a lot of philosophical contemplation. The spider fails once, the spider fails twice, thrice, 4 times. But ultimately, it, with grit, it goes and reaches at the top. And I think Shakespeare's last 2 lines there, Bravo, bravo, the king cried out, all honors to those who try. Bravo, bravo, the king cried out, all honors to those who try. The spider up there defied despair. The spider up there defied despair. He conquered, why should not I? So I think notwithstanding a repeated numbers of success and then again gradually slipping down the thread, which I have experienced since 1997 till 2000, I shouldn't say 2014, yeah, I do monkey around in the field of nutrition, notwithstanding the fact that I am sometimes DG defense acquisition, buying armaments, and DG shipping, tackling the Somalian pirate problem, but I still keep dabbling with nutrition, so I should say 97 till now. The fact remains that the independent evidence in NFHS 3 showed that between NFHS 2 and NFHS 3, during which time I had the good fortune of being Secretary Women and Child Development in Orissa twice, and child nutrition consultant in UNICEF for 3 years. The national reduction in severely underweight children was, I think, 2.1%. It was 1.7 something, revised to 2.1. Orissa was 10.4. Maharashtra in the provisional results was behind us. So I called up my friend Dr. Ramani and I said, hey, you are serial number 2. So he said, acha, final result aane do tab dekhenge. And it happens sometimes in these election results, you ask for recount, you find you lose by 3 votes or something. So Maharashtra was in the final tally. I think they reduced it by 12% and we reduced it by about 10.4% against the national average of this. And recently the WNCD minister in one of the national consultations, she said, if you have been able to reduce this in Orissa, and particularly, I mean, my presentation used to be learning from Kalahandi. So she said, if tribal Mayurbhanj and Kalahandi can achieve it, there is absolutely no reason why rest of India cannot achieve it. I'm happy to see that my colleagues from Orissa are here, so they will share their experience. So I'm skipping that part of the presentation. So ultimately I'll say that yes, we might have achieved certain amount of nutritional growth in terms of as a state or as a district or as a country. You would again have probably gone into growth faltering, and again you would have moved up. Message is, if the spider up there defied despair, he conquered, why should not I? So that should be replaced by why shouldn't we? Thank you very much.